Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. I'm Aaliyah. That's about it. In today's video, I am going to be talking about art school, specifically OCAD U. I graduated OCAD in 2024. I'm going to be addressing 6 different points in this video, and I think these are like the best things that can sum up my experience at OCAD. Also, to give a little bit of advice to those who are watching this video right now thinking about going to OCAD or are at OCAD or I don't know, about to graduate OCAD. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about are the classes at OCAD. I'm just gonna start off and say this. OCAD definitely has variety when it comes to classes, okay? They have a ton of classes pertaining to art, design, even social sciences, math, business. There's a lot. There's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Pop culture. There's quite a bit. The only thing with these classes is that they're not always available for certain semesters, or maybe they're not even offered during that year, which sucks because I think every class should be offered at least maybe once. I never had a problem with any of the classes I took. During first year, I was required to take a lot of classes that weren't anything I was interested in. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. OCAD does require you to take like some mandatory Indigenous history classes. I'm pretty sure there's like other things too. Point is, your first year at OCAD, you're gonna be learning a lot of things you never thought you would be learning. Because in my first year, I did literally 0 animation. No, I think I had 1 singular animation class. My point is, your first year, you're gonna be doing a lot of different things you never thought you would be doing. I don't know if it was just for my specific program, but I know my first year, I was taking classes that were required for my degree, but they practically had almost little to nothing to do with animation. But I know every program is different, so maybe in your first year you are going to be learning things that work towards your degree at the end of the day. But this is just my experience once again. This is what I went through. This is what I did. So I know everybody's different. It was integrated media, expanded animation, and digital painting. That was my program. My second year, there were still like a couple required classes I was supposed to take that weren't really pertaining to anything to do with like animation or digital art, but I still had a few electives that I could take that I thought were interesting or I thought would help me for my future and things like that. So for classes, definitely when you have the chance to take an elective, definitely take something you feel like you're gonna really like and you feel like it's gonna help you for your degree and just your overall program. Your schedule, scheduling classes, things like that. I found this out, I think maybe like my 3rd year. When you enroll or like you're continuing for the next semester, pretty sure it's your school email. You'll get like an email saying like when you can register, the date and time, okay? Keep in mind, this date and time is different for everybody, and I honestly believe it depends on your year as well. So if you're in 4th year, your date and time to schedule your classes and actually add them to, you know, your semesters and things like that will be a lot earlier than somebody in 3rd year, 2nd year, and then 1st year. Okay, I'm pretty sure 1st year students are like the last set of people to schedule their classes. So just keep in mind, you a 1st year, make sure you on top of that, because I remember being in 1st year and being waitlisted for some classes that I was required to take. So I was kind of bugging out. But if you are required to take a certain class that you're waitlisted for, they're going to get you in. You might just have to contact like advising or like student help. I don't remember what it's called. But don't worry about that. If you are concerned about being waitlist in a class, at the end of the day, if you are required, like if that is part of a requirement for your degree, for your program, then you should be okay. Like, they're gonna let you in. You're gonna get in there. I would also recommend you to schedule your first and second semester at the same time. Do not wait to schedule your second semester classes, I don't know, a day later. I don't know if people actually do this, but I feel like people do. For me, I always did my first semester and then my second semester, okay? I made sure I had everything already in there, and the only button I had to click was register. And after you do that, it'll tell you if you're waitlisted in any classes, okay? But my biggest advice for scheduling is to just make sure you're on time for that, okay? It's a whole like online system process as well. Sometimes there are classes where they get too full. But like I said, do not worry about that, because the school will obviously know if there are certain classes that are like way over capacity. Like if 50 people are waitlisted for one class, they're gonna offer it again, maybe like the next semester or in the same semester, just like a different day. So I wouldn't stress too much about being on a wait list. My next point are the professors at OCAD U. This is where I'm gonna really spit my tea, and I'm gonna have to say what I have to say with no remorse, no regrets. My 4 years at OCAD, I never had any problems with any of my professors except for one. Okay? Just remember the couple points I'm gonna make about this professor so you can avoid her class at all costs. Like, I'm being so dead ass. Like, if I was talking to my past me right now, I would tell her to drop out of that class ASAP. Don't even think about it. Before I talk about the bad professor I had, I want to talk about all the other professors that I had that I like literally had little to no problems with. So my first, second, and fourth year at OCAD, I had zero problems with professors. Honestly, the professors at OCAD are pretty nice, okay? They're pretty understanding. Like, they get it in a way you wouldn't think they get it, I feel like. Well, like I said, this is my experience. These are only like the classes I took, which I'm not gonna be naming, but like I had like a couple repeats for professors, and honestly, I didn't mind them. Like, I actually liked majority of the professors that I had teaching my classes, which is a good thing. And I feel like that says a lot about the school as a whole and like the people who were actually there to do their job. I would also like to say my first 2 years at OCAD were completely online because I decided to do school during COVID. OCAD U was not offering like any in-person classes because of the pandemic. As we all know, we all lived through it and we still here, period. I just think my first 2 years being online definitely changes my experience a little bit and adds to it 100%, just because online teaching is very different from in-person teaching, obviously. So I will definitely say that changes things for me. But even then, like, my professors like in online classes weren't bad, except for the one I'm about to talk about. My grades, they were pretty average. At the end of the day, I did graduate with honors, so anyway, let me talk about the problem I had during third year. I remember taking this class, scheduling it, signing up for it, registering for it, and it was a class about East Asian art and history. Okay, I'm telling y'all everything you need to know to avoid that class. This class was completely online. The format of the class was never the problem. It was really the professor and the way she set up the class. In the online meetings, which were like really only like an hour of class time, maybe even less, because the rest of the class, we listened to pre-recorded lectures that she had from years ago, or 2-3 years old. Okay, like around that mark. So these pre-recorded lectures would be pretty much like the rest of the class. So like around 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours if we didn't have like that online meeting portion first. But in these online meeting portions, we had to, like, obviously the first day of class, you turn on your camera, you say hi, like introduce yourself, things like that. But I didn't realize after that, we would be required to always come on camera showing our faces saying, hello, I'm here. Attendance in class was mandatory and it was part of our participation mark, okay? I've had a couple professors do this before, but like our participation mark wasn't solely based off of like just coming to class on time or being in class. Like if we made comments under people's posts and, you know, things like that, then participation's going up a little. Point is, she made attendance solely based off of participation, which I did not like one bit, solely because this is an online class. Like, I don't think you should expect people to always just be here because it's online. And it was also an early morning class too, like 8:30 a.m. Okay. I never liked her overall attitude towards students and just the way she would talk to students in the class. Like, there was a time when one student didn't have their camera on because they're like they didn't have the camera on, and like I don't know, I feel like as a professor you shouldn't like belittle or like ridicule or like embarrass somebody just because they didn't want to put their camera on or whatever the reason may be. Anyway, she low-key did that to that person, and I actually felt a little bit bad because I'm like, damn, chill, they just didn't want to put on the camera. Like, what? Point is, she was low-key an asshole. I'm not gonna lie, she was low-key an asshole. Now I'm gonna get into the real fact of why I have an actual issue with her. Fast forward a little bit. We had our first test. This was one of 3, I believe. We had an option to just do like an actual scheduled test, like, you know, if you did online school, you know what like an online test was like, okay? Or we could have done like a written up paper, like 2-3 pages. It just seemed like more work writing a paper. So, you know, I did what I thought the easy thing would be, the test. Little did I know this would be my worst mistake. When I tell you I failed this test, I failed it. So when I had received this mark, this was honestly the worst mark I have ever gotten at OCAD ever. As an average student, I feel like that's saying a lot. You know, like when you did bad and when you know you didn't do bad, or like you feel like something's off about the marking or whatever. I wasn't the only one who did terrible. I wasn't the only one who did dog on that test. There was a handful of other students, and when I say handful, probably more than half of the class did terrible on that test. And the reason being is I remember doing that test and not knowing what the hell was going on. It was like we were never taught to know this, know that, and it was on the test. And it's like, keep in mind, beforehand the test, she was telling us like, okay, you're gonna need to know this, like a professor should, okay? And she was saying, this is gonna be on the test, this is gonna be on the test, this is gonna be on the test. Tell me why not a single thing was on that test. It's like the material I was learning in class was not on the test. So obviously, no wonder so many people failed it, or so many people got a bad mark. We also had this Discord server for the class. This is how I knew a lot of other students were not doing a good job. I knew what the mark I got was not really the mark I deserved. So, because majority of the class did so bad on this test, she gave us an opportunity to do like a retest or like an alternate assignment, aka that paper. You could request that she go over the test with you to give you like a better mark, basically to do like a one-on-one with her and explain like why you think this and that and why you think you deserve a little bit of a better mark. So you know I did that. You know I had to do that because the mark I got was actually so terrible. And it really didn't help that that was the only mark that I had in that class. I did the one-on-one with her. And let me tell you, that could have also been another mistake I made because that meeting was so mentally degrading. I'm gonna try to describe this the best way that I can and to explain what I really felt like in that moment, just so you guys could really understand. Maybe I'm not crazy, maybe I'm not overreacting, because I don't feel like I was overreacting in this moment, and I still don't feel like I'm overreacting now. Like, I feel like my feelings during that moment were totally valid. Point is, we went through the test. I think she gave me like 1 mark up. I got like an extra point for a mark after she started going through my test. So I basically just wanted to know, like, how could I improve? Like, what did you actually want on this test so I can do better for next time? That was pretty much most of what I said. She basically said to me that my academic level is not here for this class. So she basically called me stupid. Also said, maybe this class isn't for you. Maybe it's not of like your academic level. And then she suggested like I drop the class too. And I was like, okay. And then pretty much the meeting was over and I cried after because I had never felt so insulted. Like, I know I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I never felt so belittled. And it being by a professor, like a teacher who's supposed to help you be better, it was crazy to me. I was like, I'm not gonna drop out of this class because I would not get my full refund back for the class. And it was also the middle of the semester too. For me to get up and find another class would just be too much work. And I wasn't about to sit and do summer school for 1 class. I stayed in that. I never had another meeting with her after that. Strictly hated this after that. I just did what I needed to do in the class and I was out. The next test that we had, I did the alternative assignment, and I kid you not, I got a 90. I continued to get 90s throughout the rest of the class. So I'm over here thinking like, yeah, who's stupid now? Like, you look dumb now, because I was never the problem. It was you. It was you. You were the problem. Sure. I got like a terrible mark. I went to ratemyprofessor.com. It's this website where you can see students rate professors that you have class in. So there's a ton of schools, universities, colleges in Ontario, okay? And I don't know if it's just for Ontario, but I'm pretty sure it includes the US too. I'm not sure. I used that website for the first time that day. And I never liked using this website because I didn't want to judge like my professor in class before I even got to the class. You feel me? Like, I'm gonna have to stay in the class for a little bit to actually know how I feel about the professor and the class. But when I saw the reviews for the professor I had in this class, I knew this website was cooking because everything, I kid you not, everything I saw people were writing was 100% right. A lot of people said she either couldn't teach or she was like extremely rude to students. Point is, she had a bad rating, like it was low. I don't remember what it was, but it was low. It was very diabolically low. Honestly, I think maybe she had like 1 or 2 good reviews. I should have wrote something too, but I didn't. You feel me? And the only reason I got 90, word for word, I did exactly what she wanted on a paper. If you do anything that does not fit inside her tiny little box for evaluation, you're getting a 50 or a 60 on a good day. Okay? I knew I was really cooking with my papers because after that second test, I also went into the Discord and people were still complaining about getting like bad marks. So then I was telling them like, hey, you really have to follow that template she left for y'all. Because there's like a specific outline for the papers. If you follow that shit to a T, you're getting a 90. You're getting 100. Whatever the case may be. So that's what I was telling people in Discord. I was really trying to put them on. I know what it's like, okay? I lived through the trauma already. Point is, I finished that class with a high 90, okay? So I'm gonna tell y'all, it wasn't me. It was her. It was 100% her teaching, and her class and how she formulated that whole class. It was ass. I would never take that class again. And that is really all I have to say about professors at OCAD U. Avoid the one I was just talking about. She is also Asian, East Asian, I'm not sure which. She is a little bit on the older side and she has glasses. So that's all I'm gonna say. Put it all out there. I never made a single friend from OCAD. When I say that, I mean, I never made a friend that I talk to this day or that I hang out with. And I feel like the whole making friends part is mainly my fault. Obviously, if you're an introvert and you're going to an art and design school, I feel like you're also gonna find a lot of other introverts. I feel like that's a common characteristic with artistic people. We're often introverted. I'm not saying that's everybody. Some of us are extroverted, and you know, maybe we're a little bit of both too. That definitely affected my experience with making friends at OCAD. I think there's actually a lot of nice people at OCAD. I just wish I had the opportunity more to speak to a lot of my classmates, to actually get to know them instead of like just doing group assignments or talking to each other because we're doing a group project or because we're working together. And that happened mostly because my first 2 years at OCAD were explicitly online. My third year, I had some classes online, some hybrid, and then some were in person. So I still didn't have like the full like university experience where I'm going to class every day, I'm talking to people. Maybe it's a lot easier now to make friends because OCAD's not really offering a lot of like online classes anymore. Most of them are like hybrid or in person. But I would also like to state, during my third year, this is when I got ill, so that was also another obstacle I had to tackle. And yeah, I felt like I was pretty absent during most of my years at OCAD, unfortunately. In my fourth year, I felt like this was really the year where I started talking to people more. I don't feel like I made any like permanent friends, if that makes sense, or actual friends. My fourth year, I had like a 6-hour class every week. I would say this also affected my ability to make friends. Even though I was talking to people in this class a lot, or we were doing a lot of group projects, because this was an animation class, so it was kind of like a lot of work. I was also recovering from my sickness that I got diagnosed with in my third year of university. So yeah, but this class was definitely a lot. I don't know if I would recommend everybody to take like a 6-hour class at OCAD, because they are actually like, it's a lot. My advice, honestly, at the end of the day, is try to make friends, at least one or two. And it definitely helps if they're in your class too. So I'd say that's like the easiest way to start, just by talking to people in your class. But yeah, definitely try to make friends at OCAD. I didn't, and that's like one thing that I really do regret. I definitely think if I had made friends, it would have made my experience at OCAD a little bit easier. So OCAD U, I love the way OCAD looked and everything. It was so like artsy, creative. The building, the architecture, and I don't know, just the way the building is designed. As an artist, like, you're just drawn to things like that, if that makes sense. Maybe not everybody, but I feel like most people, I don't know. Like, again, this is just me, this is my experience, this is my opinion, this is what I think, right? OCAD U also has like the infamous yellow staircases in the school, so like you're gonna see a whole bunch of graffiti on the walls, and this is just like part of like the essence of OCAD, which I thought was really cool. Honestly, that's what I liked looking at the most every time I would take the stairs to either go to a class or like come out of a class, whenever I didn't take like the elevator, because honestly the elevators take a little bit too long, I ain't gonna hold you. So I was really mostly using the stairs a lot of the time. I don't know if this is for every single program at OCAD U, but I'm pretty sure it is for every single program at OCAD U. I'm pretty sure. Your fourth year or your final year for your program, you have the option to enter in the exhibition that OCAD has every year, and I'm pretty sure it's Ontario's like largest free exhibition. So this is an opportunity for you as an artist to really showcase your art to the public. It's a free exhibition, so obviously tons of people come through, tons of people can view your art, and I think it's a really good opportunity as an artist to have, just because you get that exposure. Like, finally you get people to look at your art, and I feel like at the end of the day, like, that's the ultimate goal for like a lot of artists, for people to enjoy their art, for people to look at their art. And this is probably like gonna be my biggest regret. I never got the opportunity to participate in the exhibition. In my fourth year, like I said, I was recovering from the illness that I got diagnosed in third year, and I also had a pretty busy schedule during my 4th year. I was really focused on recovery and just getting good grades that year. I feel like I had no time to really practice my art other than to do like certain assignments, things like that. I did have an idea for the exhibition and what I wanted to do. It was just, I'm gonna be honest, that 6th era class was really killing me because outside of class time, I was also working on a big assignment for that class. So that would take up a lot of my time. I also had a part-time job, so I was working on the weekends, and I was juggling other classes too. So I try not to beat myself up too much about the fact that I said I never wanted to do it. Deep down, yes, I wanted to do it, but deep down, I also wanted to put my best work forward. So definitely take this opportunity to showcase your work, to put your best work forward. If you're gonna take away anything from this video, definitely this last point is it. Like, that exhibition at the end of your program or the end of your 4th year, you take that opportunity. I'm gonna be so dead ass. Take that opportunity. Just make sure during your 4th year you do not have like a ton of classes, okay? Make sure you give yourself time to like prepare for that, to create something that like you're actually really proud of and that you actually want to showcase. That is all that I have to say. That's all that I have to say about OCAD U, my experience. Those are pretty much all the main points that I wanted to touch upon. That's all that I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already. Probably see you guys sometime later this month.